It was an ordinary Tuesday morning in the small town of Maplebrook, where people moved through their daily routines with practiced rhythm. Coffee shops opened to the smell of roasted beans, buses hummed through the streets, and the bakery on Main Street displayed its fresh loaves in the window. Among the rush of faces was Emma, a young woman in her late 20s, walking briskly to her job at the local library. She clutched a travel mug of lukewarm coffee in one hand and her worn-out tote bag in the other, unaware that the day ahead would change not only her life but the lives of many others, all because of one small act. Emma had always been kind in the quiet way people often overlooked. She was the one who returned lost wallets, left notes of encouragement on co-workers' desks, and brought muffins for the elderly man who sat by the park bench each morning. But she had also been feeling invisible lately, swallowed by the monotony of her routine. Life had been kind but uneventful, until she met a stranger named Oliver. That morning, as Emma passed the corner near Baker's Alley, she noticed a man sitting by the lamppost. His clothes were worn, and his eyes held that distant, unfocused look of someone lost between the edges of hardship and hope. He had a small cardboard sign beside him that read, "Looking for work. Anything helps." Emma hesitated, slowing her steps. 100 people must have walked past him already, their eyes fixed on their phones or the ground. She could easily have done the same. But something about him made her stop. "Hi," she said softly. He looked up, surprised by her voice. "Would you like some coffee?" He blinked, as if unsure whether to answer. Sure, yes. That would be great." Without thinking twice, Emma ducked into the cafe across the street. She ordered a hot coffee and a bagel, wondering briefly if she was doing enough. When she returned, he was still there, the same gentle expression on his face. She handed him the food, and he smiled for the first time. It wasn't a big smile, more like the faint spark of something trying to find its way back. "Thank you," he said. "You didn't have to." "I know," Emma replied, "but I wanted to." They talked for a few minutes. His name was Oliver. He had been laid off from a construction job a few months ago, and since then, finding work had been harder than he ever imagined. He had come to Maplebrook hoping for better luck but had found mostly closed doors. Emma listened, not out of pity but out of genuine curiosity. There was a quiet dignity in the way he spoke, a resilience that tugged at her heart. "I'm sorry things have been rough," she said. "If you'd like, you can come by the library. We have computers, maybe I can help you set up a few job applications." Oliver's eyes widened a little, as if the idea of someone helping him was something new, almost foreign. "You do that?" "Of course," Emma said. "It's really no trouble." That afternoon, Oliver showed up at the library, wearing the same clothes but with a tidier look, as if he had made an effort to appear presentable. Emma helped him create a new resume and browse online listings. They worked quietly for a while until he found a listing for a maintenance job at a local community center. He applied, hesitating before hitting submit. "Thank you," he said again. "I don't know what to say." "Just say you'll come back and tell me when you get it," Emma smiled. Over the next week, Oliver did come back, sometimes to check emails, sometimes just to read or chat. Each time, Emma noticed a subtle change in him. His shoulders seemed less weighed down, and his eyes carried a little more life. On Friday, he came rushing into the library, his face bright with joy. "I got it," he said, out of breath. "They called me this morning, I start Monday." Emma grinned. "That's amazing. Congratulations, Oliver." He laughed, almost disbelieving. "I don't think this would have happened if you hadn't stopped that day. You didn't just give me coffee, you gave me a chance to feel like I still mattered." Emma felt her chest warm. "You always mattered. You just needed someone to remind you." What Emma didn't know was that her small act that morning would ripple far beyond that single moment. Because kindness, when given freely, has a way of growing in directions we never expect. A month later, Oliver had settled into his new job. The community center where he worked was old and in need of repairs, but he poured his heart into every nail, every brushstroke of paint. One evening, as he was fixing a broken railing near the entrance, he noticed a young boy watching him. The boy, maybe 10 or 11, had a skateboard tucked under his arm and a shy curiosity in his eyes. "Hey there," Oliver said with a friendly nod. "You like skating here?" The boy shrugged. "Yeah, but my board's kind of busted. My mom says we can't afford a new one right now." Oliver remembered that feeling, of wanting something simple and being told life didn't have room for it. That night, as he cleaned up, he found an old piece of wood and a set of wheels in the center's storage. He spent the weekend fixing it up, sanding it, painting it, and adding a little blue lightning bolt down the middle. On Monday, when the boy came back, Oliver handed it to him. "For you," he said. "It's not perfect, but it rides smooth." The boy's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Really? You're giving this to me?" "Sure am," Oliver smiled. "Just promise me you'll help someone else someday too." The boy nodded eagerly and sped off, his laughter echoing through the street. And just like that, the ripple continued. A few weeks later, that same boy, whose name was Noah, was walking home from school when he noticed an elderly neighbor struggling to carry grocery bags up the steps. Normally, he might have skated past, kids his age often did, but something about Oliver's words stuck in his head. He stopped, dropped his skateboard, and ran to help. "Let me carry those for you, Mrs. Jenkins," he said. The old woman smiled, touched by his gesture. It had been years since anyone had stopped to help her without being asked. The next day, she baked a batch of cookies and brought them over, telling Noah's mother how kind her son was. The simple act sparked a small conversation between neighbors who had barely spoken before, and before long, Mrs. Jenkins found herself invited to their family dinners on Sundays. Her loneliness began to fade, all because a boy helped with groceries, because a man gave him a skateboard, because a woman shared a cup of coffee. Meanwhile, Emma kept seeing Oliver at the library now and then. They had become friends, sharing bits of their lives over casual conversations. She was inspired by how much he had changed, not just his circumstances, but his spirit. One day, Oliver told her about an idea he had. "I was thinking," he said, "the community center has this empty room in the back. What if we turn it into something useful, maybe a small workshop? A place where people who need a fresh start can learn skills, fix things, maybe even make a living." Emma's eyes lit up. "That's a wonderful idea." They spoke to the center's director, who loved the plan but said there was no funding. So Emma and Oliver decided to organize a small fundraiser, bake sales, donation drives, and volunteer events. They didn't expect much, but the town surprised them. People who had never spoken before came together. Local businesses donated supplies. The bakery offered free pastries for volunteers. Even Noah and Mrs. Jenkins showed up to help. Noah painted the workshop sign, and Mrs. Jenkins brought lemonade for everyone. By the end of the month, the workshop was ready. They called it the Second Chance Room. Inside were tools, workbenches, and shelves of donated materials. The first people to come through its doors were single parents, retired veterans, and teenagers looking for purpose. Oliver taught them basic repairs, carpentry, and confidence. Emma helped them write resumes, apply for jobs, and believe in themselves again. It was small, imperfect, and beautiful, a place where kindness had taken shape in wood and hope. Months turned into a year, and the ripple only grew. The workshop expanded into other rooms, local artists painted murals on the walls. A sign hung above the entrance that read, "One small act, one big change." It became a quiet motto for the whole town, a reminder that compassion could transform even the most ordinary days into something extraordinary. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma stood outside the workshop, watching the golden light spill across the windows. She saw Oliver inside, laughing with a group of volunteers. She thought back to that cold morning, to the moment she had stopped for a man with a cardboard sign. It felt like a lifetime ago. Oliver stepped outside, wiping his hands. "You look deep in thought," he said. Emma smiled softly. "Just realizing how much can change from one small act." He nodded. "Funny thing, isn't it? You gave me a cup of coffee, and somehow it turned into all this." She looked around, at the laughter, the lights, the sound of hammers and music blending together. It wasn't just me. It was everyone who chose to keep it going. Oliver smiled. "Still, you started it." They stood in comfortable silence for a while, the air filled with the gentle hum of evening. Then Emma said, "Maybe that's what kindness really is, not something big or loud, but something that quietly changes the world when no one's watching." Oliver looked at her, eyes warm. "Yeah," he said. "One small act at a time." And in the heart of Maplebrook, where life carried on with its usual rhythm, something had shifted. People smiled a little more, helped a little faster, and believed a little deeper in the power of doing good. The town had not become perfect, but it had become softer, more human. And it all began with a simple moment, a simple choice. One small act. One big change.